It is day 2 of the biggest antitrust lawsuit against a tech giant in over 20 years in the U.S. as Google goes head-to-head with the Justice Department. The DOJ is looking to make its case that Google monopolizes its power in search. Joining us now, we have Yahoo Finance's Alexis Keenan, who has been following this trial very closely here. And Alexis, what are we learning?
Yeah, so I was in the courtroom yesterday. It was a jam-packed courtroom. And the focus of the DOJ's case was this. They said that Google's search distribution contracts, these are contracts that Google enters into with carriers like Apple, with Samsung, with all kinds of device manufacturers to put its Google search as the default placement. So when you get your item out of the box, you see Google. Now, that the DOJ said, and this was new yesterday, accounted for $10 billion, more than $10 billion of payments flowing from Google to these different computer and device manufacturers. The DOJ said that these lead to this feedback loop, and so it's compounding Google's dominance in this area on which it piggybacks to build its dominance in search advertising. Now, the DOJ, they called their first witness to the stand, and that was Hal Varian. And Hal is Google's chief economist. He has been for the past 20 years. And he was asked about different studies that Google put together internally. He talked about memos that went up on the screen in the courtroom to show that he had conversations with his team about the importance of that default placement. They called it, at that time, Google did, a serious threat that Microsoft was planning to enter the search market. And Varian had also advised that default was a, quote, powerful strategic weapon in the search battle. So he was also in on these emails that happened to include Marissa Mayer, who is an engineer with Google at the time. And she was part of his team, and they were talking also about avoiding the phrase market share when talking about the level of dominance that Google had in search. And instead, they used this phrase called query share. And so it shows what the DOJ was doing there was building its case to show that Google had awareness that there are antitrust concerns at play and that they should be careful about how they talk about these things, even internally on documents that maybe they didn't think would be part, or maybe they didn't think would be a part of these lawsuits someday.
Alexis, you pointed out the broad strokes of the argument from the DOJ side. There is this question about whether, in fact, Google's behavior led to stifling competition as well. How hard is that to prove? How high is the bar?
It is really high, Akiko, and part of that reason is because there aren't really clear lines as to what constitutes anti-competitive behavior. Now, the DOJ, they say that these contracts blocked competition because they kept other competitors in search out of this territory on these default placements, and that users don't usually change their default settings. And so that was stifling competition, they say. But Google says, no, we were competing on the merits. And how are we doing that? We were doing that through quality, that it's the quality of our search. That is why our partners want to pair with us. And that, they say, is a level playing field, that they're able to go into that territory and compete. And they also say that that's evidenced by the fact that, look, users who have these devices, whether they're computer, whether they're mobile, they can switch to a different search provider. And they said, look, they could switch to Bing. And they're not doing that. 90% approximately of users who are performing searches are choosing to do that on Google. And they say that is simply because we are the best.
All right, Alexis Keenan, following that case for us. Thanks so much.